Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's special council meeting. We will begin this evening's meeting by calling the meeting to order and noting the members present, our members of council, our staff, those joining us on Zoom, and of course, everyone who's joining us in the gallery, and particularly our guests and the media. We will begin this meeting by starting with the land acknowledgement. We will begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on the land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishkot First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Thank you, and miigwech. We will now move on to item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the agenda for the special meeting of council scheduled for Thursday, September 7th, 2023 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, delegations and presentations. 4.1, Mr. Steve Morgan, CEO, and Mr. David Blanchette, Business Development. Sengen Environmental Group presentation, Seed Homes. Steve, I'd like to pass the floor over to yourself, and I'll ask you to turn on your microphone.
So my name is Steve Morgan. I'm the CEO for a company called Sengen Green Energy Limited. It's the parent company of Seed Homes. So I'll give you a little bit of our history to begin with. So I've been in the energy industry for about 20 years. I've been building gas compressor stations all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, all through the States, Middle East. Myself and some of my team have even worked with NASA. We did the attenuation on the shuttle crawlers. So in 2016, myself and my two partners, we started to work on a clean energy tech, hence the name Sengen Green Energy. So we were able to capture the wasted energy on a large compressor station and cycle energy back into its skid, lowering its carbon footprint, lowering its demand on the grid itself. It was more specific to the Marcellus Utica, so the Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio area. And we won a bunch of awards, and that really started our company. It took about 4 years to develop this product. We have patents on it. I've spoke at Toyota and a few other places as well, and we've been pretty proud of that product. In 2020, I decided to leave my tenure as EVP for the company I was working for, a company by the name of Noise Solutions, and break out on my own to chase the dream of Sengen. We all know what happened in 2020. So I literally starved for about a year with no paychecks, no sales or anything else. And we started to look at other ways in order to bring revenue in. Oil and gas industry was going in a downward spiral. And we started to look at what was turning upwards, and that was all data and crypto mining and so on and so forth. So we started to look at how that we could take what we know about building a compressor station and apply it now to data. So we just finished a 45 megawatt data center in Wyoming. We've built a number of other smaller ones all over the United States and one in British Columbia as well. And the company started to take off. So we started to win a lot of projects as the world started to turn back on again. We built compressor stations again in New Zealand and in Australia, a number of them down in the States as well. In all of that, and I know I'm trying to get to a point, is that I'm also director for a charity called Baby It's Cold Outside in Alberta. So we help the homeless, we help people that need a hand up. And one day in one of the meetings that we were having, somebody turned to me and said, could you build a home out of the way you build compressor stations? I was like, you know what, I don't think it's ever been done before. I would like to give that a shot. So over Christmas time of last year, our shop was really busy. And between Christmas and New Year's, I usually take that time off, but the shop was going, so I'm always in there when everybody else is there. And I started to play around with the designs. I wanted to build something that was very affordable, that we could transport anywhere in North America very easily, no oversized loads, which most modular homes, that's a big problem. And especially coming up here, it would be a real hardship to try and get them very expensive. And we came up with a folding system of a home where we could take something that is 8.5 feet wide and unfold it from anywhere to 400 square feet up to 1,230 square feet. So you now have an opportunity to have a studio, 400 square foot home, full-size appliances, very nicely appointed, and up to 1,230 square feet, 2 to 3 bedrooms, nice den, a couple of bathrooms, full-size kitchen, as I said, your appliances and everything in. And that was the goal of Seed Homes. So we played around with it for probably about 3 or 4 weeks, and I happened to be in Houston doing a presentation on the oil and gas side, and I had a couple of slides of some sketches on this at the end of my presentation, just to talk about what did people think. We sold 10. I didn't even know what the price was supposed to be yet, but we sold 10. So we have a project that we're going to build in Costa Rica, an eco village down the side of a mountain overlooking the ocean. It's just going to be an amazing project. So we knew we were onto something. And then my friend David here shows up one day, says, we got to talk about Wawa. And I'm like, I only was ever at Wawa once. And I'm from Toronto originally, and my wife and I, my daughter, we were driving back and forth, every other summer we would go and see my parents. And we actually got caught here in that big power outage. I think it was like, I don't know when it was, 2008, 2009, whenever it was, we got caught here. And I was like, that's my only memory and only knowledge of Wawa. So here I am again. If somebody had asked me then I would be spending time here, I would have laughed about it, but here I am. I think we've got an amazing product to show you. The housing crisis across Canada is something that we really have to deal with. And I think the traditional way of building homes, although it's great, it's very, very expensive. It takes too long to get a home in place. And right now they're saying by 2030, we'll be 5.8 million homes short across Canada. So this is not even just regional anymore. This is right across our nation. Housing prices are going through the roof at the same time. So I'm going to show you what we've done. So this is a project that I have right up here that is going in High River in Alberta. So this is a little bit smaller. We're doing 2 buildings on the same property. This is a 1,100 square foot home. It has 2 large bedrooms, a ensuite, plus a regular another bathroom, large living room, dining room area, and a den, air conditioned, in-floor heating, full kitchen, hardwood floors throughout, under $200,000. It's a huge differentiator. Right now in Alberta, that's a $700,000 home. So we know that we've got something different. And part of the way we save money is the fact that we don't have the same sort of labor in a home that you do out in a field. We build it in our factory. We have 17,000 square feet of manufacturing space. And I'll show you some pictures in a minute. But we have 17,000 square feet of manufacturing space. And the self-framing panel, that is the secret to everything that we do, from noise control to compressor buildings to data centers, is a 22 gauge coil that we bend into a structural panel that creates its own cavity for its insulation. And there is no actual frame in this house at all. Panels themselves create the frame. We have built these all over the world. They can take hurricane winds. They're designed to take 185 mile per hour winds, heavy snow loads, wind loads, as I said. We've built them in New Zealand, so we had to deal with seismic there as well. These homes are extremely robust. They'll last 100 years, and everything in the home is either renewable or recyclable materials. So there we go. Okay. So I've kind of covered most of this, but And I've talked a little bit about ourselves and what we do. And so the vision around Seed is to bring some great homes to community. I believe I've been having a lot of conversations with places like Nunavut and places like this. And I think the core of community today, and I think it always has been, is decent housing. If you don't have decent housing, you're going to have a challenge with keeping your teachers, your doctors, and so on and so forth in your communities. And places like Nunavut, where it is really a challenge, the biggest complaint, and while people are leaving, is not because of money, is because there's nowhere really decent to live. If we've got great jobs, but we don't have people to know where to live, we can't fill those jobs. So this is where we have to make a difference. So as I've said, these are extremely robust builds, very, very strong. It's all steel. There's no shingles on the house, on the roof. Very, very low maintenance. We can make these so that they're pretty much off the grid. We have designed a water capture system as well, so you can create your own potable water, all filtered within in the home. Solar panels across the top, and we are fast to build. So the biggest house that we have, the 1200, would be probably less than 12 weeks to produce one from scratch. So big, big difference from the process of building a home today. It's all done in our factory, as I said. We have our own designers, we have our own engineers. We can stamp right across Canada. We have that structural engineer that can do it right across Canada. So we should meet every single building code. The warranties are right now good for Alberta, but I just met with my lawyer just prior to coming here, and that is very easily transferable to Ontario as well. Just small edits and we're done. So we're pretty much ready to go. Shipping, no oversized loads. So to come here from Calgary on the smallest home would probably sit on the back of a car hauler. The largest ones would be on a transport truck. It would be about $5,000 to get one here because it's not oversized. I ship all the time to the States, so I know these numbers, and it's about $6,000 to get a full load to Pennsylvania. So it shouldn't be that much. It won't be any more coming here. Makes this a little bit different too. So we have very, very cool designs. The house itself, if you think about a book and the way, and it's just sitting on its end, and you start to open a book, if you open it up once, that gives you your living area, and this is what we call our utility corridor. So this never changes. It's always got the bathroom, the kitchen always in here. So all the utilities are running in here, and all the electrical runs out to the living areas. So this would be considered a Nook 1 to be 400 square feet. A Nook 2 and all the other ones afterwards would just open twice. So you can have your bedrooms on one side, maybe a den and a nice living room space on the other side. Lots of windows, French doors opening up onto your patio, so on and so forth. We can do all of those things. It's all LED lighting inside. One of the coolest things, and I stumbled across this product. So there's a product that is made in Canada called TrusCore. And TrusCore is a wall system that is unlike anything that we've used before. So traditionally, everything is drywall. This is made out of a recycled plastic panel that they screw into the uprights. You're never going to have to paint your house if you don't want to. Never have to worry about seams. We can do a whole home in about a day, as opposed to probably to do a whole home would probably take you a week between putting drywall up, sanding it, mudding it, sanding it, mudding it some more, sanding it some more. If you're like me, doing that about 4 or 5 more times on top of that, and finally getting a half decent finish. This is it all comes finished. The great thing is that it's all recyclable as well. So the materials are recyclable going in, and then if 100 years from now somebody wants to take it all apart and throw it out, that material is all recyclable as well. Cleans up very easily, very, very robust, adds a little more R factor to the walls as well. As I said, some of the differences too, our materials were 22 gauge metal. The whole body of the house itself is 22 gauge metal. So the roof is that, all of the walls are that, very, very robust. Outside of like banging your F-150 into the side of it, that's the only way you're going to do any damage. Hail's not going to do anything. It's not going to rust. It's the finish itself. You can pick from an abundance of colors. There's a 20-year warranty on the colors themselves because it's all baked right into the metal itself. And when I show you the pictures, the frame itself that it sits on is a 4x6 HSS skid. Very, very robust. This is never moving. We tend to put them on piles. That's just what we do as far as compression is concerned, but we can put it onto a basement. We could put it onto a concrete slab, but the piles, if it's going on that, then we put the piles in, we weld it right to the piles, it's never moving. Then put a thermal skid all the way around that just matches the rest of the house. Fire, the material is, the house is pretty much fireproof. And in today's, especially here, that's probably something to consider. So there's virtually no wood other than your cabinets inside your kitchen and your subfloor. That's it. No more drywall, as I said, extremely fast to put this up to. So again, we're cutting labor. Labor is a thing that really, really kills pricing. And especially when you're doing it on site, I've built enough compressor stations and put all the components together for a building for a compressor that would be $50,000. By the time I'm done with shell, it's $250,000. You know, that's the labor cost, and it's the same with building a house. So when we can do this all in-house, the hourly rates come down, we're not paying for sub anymore or any of those things, and with our building system, it goes much, much faster. We have our own electricians, our own plumbers, our own engineers, our own designers. We have a staff of about 35 right now, and we're probably going to double over the next year again. So pricing, a 400 square foot nook. So this is a single drop with a kitchen and a full bath, is about 65,000 Canadian. Depending on how you want to, finish it all off, you might be 60, you might be 70, but 65 seems to be the mean average around those. This is a nice little office in the back of the house, or a nanny suite, or just a little cottage sitting on a lake. We can put solar panels across the top of this thing and take it pretty much off the grid. For a 1,200 square foot home, about $200,000, and at that $200,000, you're probably pretty close to having that delivered at that price. Maybe it's another 10, maybe it's a little bit under. We've been doing some massive buying as well on kitchens, and so we're bringing all of those pricing. The first ones were pretty expensive. I gotta say, I didn't make any money on them, but as we're now figuring out all the how to buy in bulk and everything, and I've hired the right people now to do that buying, because quite honestly, we're a bunch of industrial guys. We know steel and we know how to build an industrial building. So I turned to my buyers and said, I need you to buy kitchen cabinets. And they're like, what? So they were pretty lost for a while, but they did a great job, and we got through those first projects. So that's probably, from what we understand in Northern Ontario, a price for about a same square foot home would be around $400,000. And it would probably take you 12, 14 months to actually get delivery, right? And it's hard to get. This all comes done. So the electrical is done. The plumbing is done. So really all we have to do is plug and play it. So the flooring is in. All those things are already done. They're already done in our shop. I'm going to skip that because this little video is on another spot. So here's just some examples. So this one right here, so that would be what you could do with 630 square feet. A 2-bedroom home, nice sized living room, dining room area. So that living room, dining room area would be 24 by 10. Full size kitchen, nice cabinets, all the appliances are there, full size bathroom. That's 630 square feet. That is about $105,000 to $110,000. That's it. Nice starter home, really comes in at a reasonable price. Family could get going on something like that and then sell it and move up. We're getting back to where we were when I grew up, where we started with, you got married, you bought your first little home, you bought the fixer-upper, you fixed it all up, you made $10,000 on it, you move it up to the next one, you did that 3 or 4 times, and then you finally got to the house where you really needed to be, right? This is what we're going back to with this. So you can, build that, have that built for you or manufactured for you, 630 square feet. If down the road you want to sell it, you're probably going to sell it at a profit, and I would think, and turn around and either pick a bigger one of our homes, or now you have the cash in order to do something bigger yourself. So this is some renderings of the properties that we're doing. This one is, so there's a little garage. We can build those as well. So a fully appointed garage with electrical all in place, truss core walls, R12 insulation in the walls, and R20 in the roof. In the garage, about 37 installed. That's about it per double garage. Again, no frame, any of those things. So this is a pretty cool product. The house itself, lots of glass, as you can see. Let me just show you another rendering, I think, from the, here's another one here. This is a little nook. And this is just a 400 square foot home, but you put this on a little lake, and whether it's your hunting cabin or it's just, for the family, you put a couple of bunk beds and a TV into it or whatever you want to do. Really nice. That's about $60,000 to $65,000. And again, no maintenance. One of the big things we wanted to get away from, we weren't just trying to sell a house, but we wanted to sell some freedom as well. So you were free from large mortgage payments. You were free from all the maintenance that you get with a house pretty quick. I know, after about 10 years, 12 years, I'm replacing shingles on my homes all the time. Just going to scroll a little farther. This is just a bigger shot of that same layout. So that's a nice living space for a couple and a child. That would be perfect. That's 630 square feet. What they look like inside. So the truss collar panels, they come in white or gray. You have a lot of choices around your flooring. The ones that we're building right now that are on our floor have bamboo flooring all the way through it and bamboo cabinets. And I'll show you the cabinets in a second. Just from another angle. Property this is one of them we're just finishing up. So this has a house and it also has a studio on the property as well. Solar panels all across the top as well. Same one from the front. So this is the house on the floor. So this is at the beginning stages. You can see the center corridor, that high part, is the utility corridor. So the kitchen is there, the 2 bathrooms are there. The wings that we call them, so these are the wings that fold up and in order for us to ship. The ones on the side, and I'll show you the walls in this second. But as you can see, this is an extremely robust build. We make all of this in our plant. All of the studs, everything for the inside, all the electrical is done, all the plumbing is done, everything is inspected, permitted, ready to go when it leaves the factory. So a very robust build. You're never going to, if you don't want to, you don't have to ever do anything other than, throw a vacuum over it once in a while, and that's about it. It's just some of the guys. This is our designer, one of our designers right here, Rod, and they're just starting to do some of the spray insulation. So our walls, our standard is R26 in the walls and R32 in the ceiling. So good start. If you need more, we can do those things as well. Those are the walls. So these are the walls that are going to fold up from the side. And you can see, it looks like there's a stud there. That is just that one panel. It creates that stud when we fold it. And that cavity is what we spray in the foam. And then in order to get around the thermal bridge, it comes from the outside to the inside. So you think about that. There's a metal path from the outside of the house to the inside of the house. So then we put a 1/2-inch thermal break, which adds about 8 more to the R value over top of everything. So we break any of that cold or hot transferring through the walls itself. These are the guys doing the spray. This is actually my son right here with the mask on right here. There's me watching him and telling him what to do. And that's our presentation, but I want to show you, there's a couple of other pictures. So can you just... Sure. Yes. Nope. So the ones that have the kitchen cabinets, I've got them marked, and then the outside walls. Yeah, it says manufacturing pictures. Manufacturing pictures right there. And if you go to, let's go to the kitchen cabinets to begin with. So these are the kitchen cabinets going in. These are all bamboo, high end. Like, this is not a tiny home. What we wanted to achieve was to find a solution that talks between the tiny home and the traditional build that's out there right now. So the tiny home, 150 square feet, 200 square feet, is coming in at around, nowadays, is coming in somewhere around $130,000 to $140,000. This, at 930 square feet, so 2 bedrooms and a den and a bath and a half, is the same price. Far more robust to build. It's going to last a long, long time, and you're not living in 150 square feet. I love my wife, but I don't want to live in the 150 square feet with my wife. You go to you can scroll through the pictures at the bottom there then. There we go. So there's the outside walls going in on the house itself. And all of this just all folds up into that center. We drop it onto a truck. Depending on where it's, how big it is, it just depends on how big a truck we are. So whether we're using a flatbed, or we could just use, on the small ones, we could probably use a car trailer and bring it up and pull it with an F-150. So that's, honestly, I've done a lot of business in my life, and I've built a lot of things. These are the proudest things I'm ever going to do. Scroll a little bit farther, see what else we've got. Yeah, so there's the side of the house. So see that big open cavity? That's double French doors with side lights now in that wall. So it's stunning inside. That's the house before the walls went on. And that's the bare bones, the very, very beginning. So you can see the structural steel all through this. Snow loads, wind loads, we're not concerned with those at all. And if there's something special that it needs to be engineered to, we can engineer to anything. That's just the roof sections. They're flipped upside down. So the roof sections are, the roof is R32, so it has more insulation in the roof as well. And it also has a nice vaulted ceiling. So at the peak, you're about 10 feet as far as the space is concerned. You're not going to get that in a tiny home. So you have a nice open space. Like these, there's a lot of natural light coming in. You can get away from each other if you need to. and just have a real nice lifestyle that people can afford and that we can turn around quicker. Just from another angle, some of the panels, so you can see how the panel former itself, it creates the cavity for the insulation. This is underneath, so you can see how robust underneath this is as well. So this has got a lot of structure to it. This will, I think it is spray foamed now all in as well, so the insulation is all underneath there as well. That's the end. So the other thing that we're very interested, so I was very interested in coming out here and meeting everybody, but I wanted to really look at the market here as well and see what we could, if there was value in us actually maybe even putting an assembly plant or a manufacturing plant as well here. And it's looking like it's, to me, I think there's a strong argument to do that. We're looking for 45,000 square feet anyway for another manufacturing plant, and I think this might be an addition to that. So that's my presentation, everybody, and I think I'll just turn it over to any questions.
Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate your presentation. It was great.
Good.
Now I will open it up to any questions from council. Councillor Hoffman, do you have any questions or comments for Steve and David?
So how long does it take to set up once you bring it here?
So these houses come done. So depending on the size, a Nook, like the single one drop, 1 day. The large 1,200 square foot one, so how we do it is we have, you get your house, and what we do is we sell you linear feet of wall. And so you tell us what you want. You want 3 bedrooms, you want 2 bedrooms in the den, whatever the case may be. There, with each one of these models, there's a maximum amount of linear wall that we'll sell you as well. We can add more to it, but within the budget. And we'll set all that up as well. So a 1,200 square foot home is probably 3 days.
And how many men come up here to?
2.
2 guys?
2 guys. All the electrical's done. Everything else is done. So it's just 2 guys and a crane. That's it.
Hmm.
And these guys are fast.
And then it's electric heat.
Yes. Yes. So electric heat in these ones, we can make it gas or whatever the case may be. I understand there's gases in here anyway. But yes, that's what we've been using is electric heat.
You got lots of questions.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hoffman. And if I can just interject, is your crew, your labor, it's made up, it's comprised of both men and women, correct?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Did I just say men?
Yes.
Okay. He's being 65. That does that.
I'm 41. Councillor Cannon, do you have any questions or comments?
So all we're responsible for is setting up the pad for it, and that's basically it.
The client would be responsible for the getting the permitting done. We can certainly help, and we can supply all of the drawings, all of the foundation drawings, all the engineering, so on and so forth. But it's up to the client to do that. We can assist in if we're going to put piles in, we can assist with all those things as well. But it's up to the client, and then whatever services have to be brought to the house itself.
So that would include, like, the drawings and everything is included in the price?
Oh, yes.
Is that
Yeah. Stamped in Ontario. Well, by an engineer that he is in Alberta, but he can stamp in Ontario. But he's stamped all over the world for me.
perfect? Thank you.
Councillor Opato, do you have any comments or questions?
I enjoyed the presentation. I don't have any questions. I think you guys answered it all. It's a neat idea.
Thank you.
Councillor Hatfield?
I just have one question. The insulation you said is styrofoam?
No, it's not styrofoam. It is a foam. So it is basically it's an insulation spray foam, low VOC. We were very conscious of the ESG story that goes along with everything we did in the house. We were originally actually looking at hemp, but we just couldn't get the R values out of it, without going to like 9-inch thick walls. So we looked for an alternative, and so we found this spray. As I said, low VOCs, great ESG story, and it goes in quick, and it has a very high R value.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another question.
Councillor Hoffman?
Okay, so if 10 years down the road, you want to paint the inside of the house,
Bitter patter.
just
Paint it.
paintbrush and away you go?
Yeah. Yeah, you can certainly paint it. The cool thing that TrustCore is working on right now, and I know they're not quite to market yet, and he would probably kill me. I know the CEO very well now. So his name is Steve Bossman. But they are working on digital paint. So it'll actually run a signal through the walls itself, and you can just from your phone change the color inside your house.
I think
So if you drive home and your walls are black, get out.
then the other thing, if somebody wanted to add a ordinary addition with 2x4s or 2x6s, is that possible?
I guess.
I'm not.
Just by I
want,
guess.
but
Yeah.
Or would they come to you and say, well, you know what, Steve, I want to put an extra bedroom on. Can you do something for me?
So what we could do is, so if you had the 1,200 square foot home and you wanted to just add a games room, you wanted to add, put a pool table in, whatever, buy a Nook One. We put it in. We don't, instead of the kitchen, we put a bar in there instead, and another bathroom, and we connect it to your house. So something like that, I think, would be a better alternative, and quite honestly, probably less expensive. Yeah. And then you have that same robust build throughout your house. Yeah, you're welcome. And we can just weld it right to the other house, right on the frames.
Well, Steve, I do have a few comments and questions for you.
Please.
People are really looking for turnkey opportunities now. You mentioned that when you started, looking for your first home, you purchased a fixer-upper. and fixed it up. I did the same. People are not interested in doing that anymore. So this is a perfect option. It's it that you're delivering. So kudos on that. It's an innovative solution, and that's really what we need.
Thank
So, big congratulations for that. I really look forward to continuing the conversation about how the municipality can work and support CGen?
CGen.
CGen, okay,
Clean Energy Generation is what it actually stood for.
perfect. As I was mentioning to you earlier, the Premier announced the $1.2 billion Building Faster Fund. So only 10% of this fund is being earmarked for cities under 10 or 100,000 people rather. So WAWA is very interested in learning how we can get our hands on some of those funds to support projects like yours. And certainly by developing land, building infrastructure, those are the ways in which I personally see WAWA being able to contribute to projects and getting our citizens into your homes.
That's awesome.
So my background is in economic development, and I know that we will have developable land to help a plant like yours come to WAWA. And so we are really looking forward to having those conversations.
Anything you need from me too. So if in those applications you want data, the story behind seed or the information around what's going on in Canada, period, happy to share all of those things. My forecasts, everything, I'll share everything with you. I'm completely open.
Perfect. I feel like this is the beginning, the official beginning of hopefully a very long, prosperous future for both yourself and WAWA. We all know that we need more houses to be built in WAWA. WAWA has a housing crisis, and building more houses is going to unlock the door for much more economic development potential.
Mm-hmm. One project that we're just waiting on the purchase order for Seed Homes, and it's not a home, so it's actually, in this case, it's a set of church offices, and I looked at it and went, this could be a doctor's office, like so many other things we could apply to this as well, and be able to move very, very quickly. Like a 1,200 square foot doctor's office, you could have 4 or 5 rooms, a waiting room, so on and so forth. You don't need a kitchen anymore, but you need the infrastructure for that. But we can do all of those things as well.
Exactly, and WAWA is very much positioned now as a mining supply and service hub. As mines, you said you spoke with Mayor Beverly Nantel today from Iberville. We have 5 major mines within 150 kilometers of our municipality, and all of those mines use WAWA as a home base.
Incredible.
So we could certainly, further those conversations.
I look forward to it.
Great, thank you very much. So with that said, I thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative. I will ask staff if they have anything to add or if we're ready to move on.
No, thank you, Mayor. I think just one thing I'd like to note is there has been some interest to the municipality that I think this company and through Steve, we can also satisfy the need for that accessory unit, the nanny flat, the accessory unit on existing residential lots. So if you have a home, these are well suited to those families or people who are looking to maybe support a family member or support their income with a small home right on an existing lot. That also is a way to save on the environment and save on building costs. So I just wanted to add that because I know that's another great opportunity for the community to support whether it's aging population or our younger population on existing houses. So I want to echo the mayor, if I may, Steve, and thank you, David, for bringing the company here. And thank you for thinking about WAWA and how you can help us solve the crisis we're in. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So on the final note, I do have 2 pins that I always try and remember to give to our guests who have come. So please, next time you come, Please wear your Wawa pin proudly.
We have fun in blackouts.
We can certainly.
Should I have put that in the agenda?
You should have. Do you have like one question, or do you have?
Yeah, yeah, sure, just one.
Or you can call us individually, or. Presentation is complete. We'll move on to item number 5, announcements and giving of notice. Council, is there any announcements? Councillor Hatfield, do you have anything to add? Seeing as there is none, we will move on to new business. Item 6.1, a staff engineer recommendation for the drill rig.
Thank you. So basically, this report is a follow-up from my previous memo to council. In that memo, we detailed the options that we were investigating for the drill rig, as well as gave council an advanced copy of the engineer's report to review and ask any questions about. This is a summary of those investigations. There's a couple things that I would like to note, although I won't go through the report line by line. Basically, the process that we followed is we received the engineer's report. We followed up and investigated several different leads based on that engineer's report and the holes that were in it in terms of information that was lacking, not known about the unit, things like that. And then we summarized that by talking to the engineer a second time, reviewing the information that was gathered, and essentially getting to a more precise solution that we could present to council. There's a couple things that I would like to note about the information that we have. Every single contractor that I talked to was really interested in offering solutions about how to fix it, and I had an impossible time getting any other solutions out of them besides fixing it. So I think that to me demonstrated, at least among the tradespeople that I spoke to, that they really wanted to see the drill monument there, to the point where some of them would not even give me prices on any other alternatives. So it was difficult to find some prices for certain alternatives, and so that's reflected in here when I say staff estimate. That's based on my personal experience from projects that I've done for the municipality in the past, where I've gotten cranes and done other things like that. There's a couple investigations that we did. The first one was we talked to a scrap steel company, and like I said, I had difficulty getting a price out of them, but the summary of that was that it would, the steel value of the drill rig would not offset the full cost of removing it, and so I gave council an estimate there. The second investigation was with a qualified welder and iron worker, and they gave us a rough cost to make sure that we were on the right track in terms of the actual welding costs. They also gave us several alternative or different ideas that I approached the engineer with in terms of how to repair the rig. We also, I was very lucky to speak to Mr. Andy Stevens, who gave me a huge amount of history that I just did not have. We didn't have any documentation or anything like that on it. Specifically, he had operated a rig like that before and had seen it in operation many times and had an understanding that, someone like myself, someone like the engineer just did not have. I brought that all back to the engineer, discussed with them, and I got 2 pieces of feedback from them. The first one is that the timeline on the report was basically less of an emergency. And that came directly from the feedback from Mr. Stevens saying, hey, that rig operated with the mast up on a regular basis. It still needs to have something done to it, and he did not amend his report. So right now we have a stamped report saying something needs to be done. And the other thing that he said was there could be some modifications, i.e. the replacement of the pistons might not be necessary. They could just be strengthened, and that's something that they were willing to create drawings for us for. So with that in mind, we changed the cost forecast. I updated it based on 3 things. One, being able to use local crews. So there was a couple local crews who had expressed that they would be able and willing to do the work, and that's everything from jacking the unit up right through to actually doing the welding. So that affected the price fairly significantly. The second one was the opportunity to make some design changes to the original engineer's design, which they said they would be willing to consider and draw those designs. And the final one was a simple reduction in the contingency. That was because the contingency is a percentage. So when you lower the main cost, you lower the contingency cost as well as an estimate. So with that, we had to essentially make a recommendation to council. And that was a pretty tough one because there was 2 main options, which was scrap the drill rig and hopefully replace it with something new or repair the drill rig. I'm making the recommendation, though I understand it's going to be controversial, to scrap the drill rig, and I've got 2 main reasons for that. The first one is because fiscally, I think it's the more prudent one. When we make repairs to the drill rig, we still have an aging piece of infrastructure in the community that's going to need further repairs soon, and I indicated that painting is one of them. That, you know, when we look at our municipal strategic plan, when we look at our tourism plan, and we talk a ton about downtown beautification, there's a kind of rusting, paint flaking offing piece of equipment there that is not a good showcase of our community. And the second reason is because I believe that we're much more likely to be able to get funding to place something there that is going to be more in line with the strategic plan and the action plan. I do not believe we'd be able to get funding to repair the unit versus put something there. And there's several options that can go there that we've talked about as staff. If we're talking about mining in particular, one of the ideas was to create a replica head frame that was on number 5 and be able to put some history in there and have it become a tourist draw, which is something that I believe and in my experience we would get funding for. As I noted in the conclusion, fundamentally this is a political decision. So the costs are quite similar on either side. I'm going to stand by my recommendation, but as we talked about last council meeting with the Integrity Commissioner, council is very welcome to go a different direction. The only thing that I will say about that is we have a report with an engineer's stamp on it that says we have to do something to that unit to make it safe before the winter. So whatever's council's decisions may be, the liability currently is to follow the engineer's recommendation, and any deviation of that would put liability on the municipality for anything that would happen. So I'm open to any and all questions.
Thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate your candidness as always. Councillor Hoffman? Comments, questions, please use your microphone.
See the drill rig stay. And I think you got one jack that's on the fritz. So you either put posts under all 3 and let the machine settle on that, because nothing is wrong with the ground rig is on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not going to topple over because the thing was made to sit on its tracks. The supports were there when they did the actual drilling. So no, I think I'd just like to see, and I think that would be cheaper than taking it away or putting something else there.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hoffman. Councillor Cannon?
I'm on the fence. Where I see your point of view of trying to get something else in there that's not, but to take it down and scrap it, I don't think I'm on board with that. I would like to see maybe they had that suggestion where you could take those, that suggestion number 2 or something in, take the mast down. So maybe something like that, and they said that wasn't as expensive as doing like the whole repair. I don't think I want it to see it gone.
Councillor Pato?
I'm just curious, like, we've known this is a problem with this for a couple of years. How come now it's such a big panic that it has to be done like right now? Is it going to be laying on the ground tomorrow, or?
It's not going to be laying on the ground tomorrow. We first noticed a touch of a lean, but it wasn't enough for us to be alarmed about it 2 years ago. The reason why it's such a problem now is because the lean accelerated, and that started over the spring this year with the spring thaw. So we contacted an engineer essentially as soon as we noticed that it was accelerating. The engineer, of course, took some time to come up here, generate a report, things like that. They've made a recommendation for winter 2023 to have repairs that are approved essentially by an engineer to come from that.
So how much has it changed in the 2 years? Like, I don't think it's going to fall over, is it?
The engineer wouldn't give me an opinion about whether it would fall over or not, but they think it's enough of a risk to merit repairs before the winter. So I'll be honest with you, I can't answer you, will it fall over, will it not fall
Because
over?
I'm just
So-
curious, because that we left it and it was leaning and stuff, and all of a sudden now there's a big panic. Like, how could it change so fast, so quickly?
So
Nothing's changed really, has it?
well, it has, and that's what I'm saying. So a couple years ago, when we did our regular inspections, we weren't noticing a lean, right? And then last year, sorry, let me be precise. So fall 2021, there was a noticeable lean. And then spring 2022, we started taking regular observations to confirm that. And it's very similar to what we do at the community center. When we notice a crack, we don't get crazy excited about it right away, but we start documenting that to see if it's growing or not. And what we're told by the engineers for things like a lean or a crack in the community center is when it's growing and the speed that it's growing matter more than whether it exists or not. So we noticed it was lean. So took regular pictures of it. It was at, based on the pictures, which are tough to tell, like a 1 or a 1% incline. And then this year in the spring, all of a sudden it was at a 2% incline. And that was a much faster change in that than we had observed previously. So that's why we decided to contact an engineer.
I think I'm curious, like you were talking about painting and stuff. Nothing's been done to that over 10 years. So I'm curious, like now it's an eyesore and stuff immediately. How come nothing has been done to it in the last 10 years?
I mean, it should have, for sure. If budgets are unlimited and we had, the ability to do a lot of those sorts of things, then I would love to. But as you know, I have a $30,000 parks budget, and so it did not come up in the parks budget. If it were a priority of council, then that would change things. But as of right now, with the parks budget that I've been given over the last 10 years, it wasn't a possibility.
I just brought it up because you did mention paint, how hard it was to paint. Well, we'd have been keeping up on it. It would have been better.
Absolutely. Yep, you're 100% right.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Councillor Rapato. Councillor Hatfield?
I'm going to try to speak quickly because I have some unsettled dogs. I don't want to see the rig anymore. I'm one of the ones that want it gone. I just think it's going to be a big, big problem in the future. I'm sorry that I feel that way, but I don't like the looks of it anymore. I'm scared of it. And when engineers are telling me that we have a problem, I tend to believe somebody that knows what they're talking about. And I would like to see it scrapped and look into putting something else. And that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hatfield. So I'm sorry. As always, I have a few more comments. I've got them jotted down. So I believe that the original intent of the drill rig was certainly to commemorate our mining history, but certainly to draw tourists to the far end of Broadway Avenue. I don't believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the drill rig is serving that function at this moment. I don't think. And Alex, are you able to answer that question?
I have
the current
relatively
state?
little data on that. I would say at the current state, it is a smaller draw than like the waterfront, right? Where we send people to walk and view the interpretive panels and things like that. I don't have numbers for you, unfortunately, besides 2011 numbers that indicated that out of the 5 or 6 places in the hub and spoke model, it was listed as, if 50,000 people come to the TIC, then 5 might go to the rig, but those numbers are far outdated.
Okay, and that was my initial suspicion that we could be doing other things that could certainly be driving tourism there, and there's certainly an opportunity because that is prime real estate. I was reading an article in, I think it was Municipal World not too long ago, that identified nostalgia as both a strength and a weakness for community planning. And I believe that in this case, the nostalgia and the way we feel about the drill rig is really creating a weakness for us, because there is a lot of really heartfelt feelings towards the drill rig, but because it's not serving its original intent and is even could have the potential to create a liability for our community and have a large cost to keep it there and to continually maintain it, I think that it's certainly not doing us justice. It's certainly not, as you mentioned, driving towards our strategic plan and our strategic vision, which we just finished and we just approved at our last meeting, which we said that we would make all of our decisions, take a look at our sheet and say, is this decision getting us closer to achieving our vision? And I think if we were all honest and took a look at our sheet, we would say this decision clearly does not bring us closer to the strategic vision that we identified in the strategic plan. And I think that that was part of your report. So I do have to agree with Councillor Hatfield on those basis alone. I think that the drill rig was an excellent idea when it was originally put there, but I think that it did serve its time. And I think that it's time to follow the recommendations of the engineer, and follow your recommendations, Alex, that I do feel it's time to let it go and open a new chapter, and hopefully we can come up with something together with the input of the community to see what else we want to put in that spot. Are you looking for a direction from council this evening?
No, thank you, Mayor. The item is on for discussion tonight with no follow-up resolution. A resolution, ideally, so we can meet the timelines in the report, would go to council on September 19th for a council decision. In the meantime, through you, Mayor, if there is other information that you or council feel is necessary, missing, or could add to the decision making, Alex will provide any follow-up information required. So if there is a request for that, we can put another report with additional information on the corporate on the 19th, but staff will recommend that council consider a resolution and make a decision on the 19th, because regardless of the decision, there may be some immediate action required. Thank you.
So you don't need anything from us now. We can take some time to think about that. If anybody has any questions for either myself or Alex or Maury, please reach out, and we can move on from there. Okay, thank you very much. There are no bylaws, and so we will move on to item number 8, closed session.
Councillor Hatfield, we're going to move in camera. We're going to move you into a breakout room, so you may see that message similar to Tuesday.
Thanks, Daniel. We will now move on to item number 9, open session. 9.1, resume to open session. May I have somebody make a motion to resume to open session? Councillor Hoffman? May I have a seconder? Councillor Opato? All in favor? Carried. There is no business arising from closed session, so we will move to item number 11, adjournment. Close of meeting.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the meeting close at 7:39 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks again to everyone for their hard work, and we will see you